Is Brady the top 3 MVP candidate?
Top 3? No, of course not. He got Antonio Brown. We can revisit the discussion when he has all the weapons in the world all season at the end of the year. But right now, no. I mean, he's quarterbacking a 2-loss team. There are guys like Tannehill who are quarterbacking a 1-loss team. Yeah, but Brady's performance, Brady with an embarrassment of riches, his QBR is 16th. It's like mid-pack. Tannehill's his top 4. I'm talking about Ryan Tannehill now, right? Never mind Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson. So there's 3 right there before we get to the guys a little bit on the outskirts of that conversation, like Tannehill, who at this moment are still in front of Brady. No, the answer is no. At this moment, Tom Brady's not a top 3.
I'm going to say he is. I'm going to say he is, but I'm not just leaning to, in fairness to Max, I'm not just leaning on his performance. I'm leaning on all the things, all the ancillary things going on around him, the leadership that he's showing, the culture changer that he has been, the things that are happening with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how he's being credited with it all. You even have defensive players talking about how they feel they're playing better because of him. He's a guy that moves the chains. He's a guy that make the right decisions. He can go for the big play, but he didn't do it on these possessions, this possession, because he saw that they needed a little bit of rest and stuff like that. You got a running game that feels effective. You got tight ends that are taken care of. You got receivers that are just going more and more and more. When the hell have we ever heard of Scott Miller? We know about him now, and now Antonio Brown is coming. And then when you see Antonio Brown's coming, you know that has everything to do with Tom Brady, because if it were up to Bruce Arians, Antonio Brown would not be there, because he had an opportunity to get Antonio Brown in the offseason. He said, we don't need him in this locker room, et cetera, et cetera. Tom Brady arrives, all of a sudden that changes. So when you look at the totality of things that are evolving around the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we see how we look at them as a collective unit, as a team, clearly, you think about Tom Brady even before you think about Bruce Arians, even before you think about Todd Bowles. And that's where I come up with that. Not necessarily because of his on-field performance per se. It's the combination of everything.
I agree with that point. My point is I'm factoring that in to make him, like, if your QBR is 16th in the league among starters, right, like it's mid-pack, and your team has 2 losses, and I can point to a bunch of quarterbacks with better numbers on better teams, at least by record so far, I'm giving Brady credit, which I think he deserves for leadership. Even his attracting Antonio Brown. Look, AB could have signed a bunch of places, including Seattle, who looked like they were in the front of the line. Brady is the magnet. He's the gravitational pull there. He deserves credit. I also agree that he's spreading the ball around and all that stuff. But guys, going into the season, even without Tom Brady, if you just put a competent quarterback with these receivers on this defense, we would expect success in Tampa.
I don't know about that.
They made a move off of Jameis Winston because he handed the other team 112 points with 30 interceptions. We all knew you cut that number in half, Jameis. You got at least 9 wins on this team. So it's not a knock against Brady. I agree with the leadership stuff. That's why I think you can argue he should start to be talked about as top 5 in that conversation.
Well, let's do it. Let's wait. You got Mahomes is throwing 16 touchdowns, just 1 interceptions. He's completing about 65 for 1-loss team, completing about 65.7% of his passes. Well, guess what? Tom Brady's completing the exact same percentage as Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And the difference is that Tom Brady doesn't have Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. And so we got to take that into consideration as well. These are the kind of things that people are going to look at, not to sneeze at Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich, because I think they're doing a hell of a job. But I just think that right now, when you see all that's transpiring Tom Brady, I'm telling you right now, if the same exact thing were taking place after week 16, week 17 of the NFL season, there would be a debate right now as to whether or not Tom Brady is the league MVP. If the exact
Dan Orlovsky just said he's the best quarterback in football right now, considering Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, but also. But
I mean,
Max,
QBR takes a lot of. It's like saying PER and best. It's not a perfect stat, right? But
no,
it takes a lot of those classical stats and contextualizes them and makes it better. And by that measure, Brady is 1 slot above Matthew Stafford, right? Patrick Mahomes is 6 slots above Russell Wilson. And Mahomes and Wilson are playing for 1-loss teams, and Brady's playing for a 2-loss team. Now, it is true when he gets a B, it will be an even greater embarrassment of riches on offense. But he's looked good throwing to his receivers. I'm not saying Brady isn't starting to approach the conversation. He's just not in it yet.
I just think you always look at the age as a negative, and you forget the fact of all the experience he has, how cerebral. He's seen every defense. Well, okay, I forgot. You apologize for the question.
I never apologize.
And how seasoned he is in terms of that as an advantage over these other quarterbacks.
By the way, to be clear, I've never apologized. I didn't know anyone.
You admitted you were wrong. Sorry, I forgot. You admitted you were wrong.
There was a bit. Well, clearly he defied the cliff prediction, but I didn't even just bring up age just then. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.